Fables of La Fontaine. The ass laden with sponges, and the ass laden with salt. A peasant, like a Roman emperor bearing his scepter on his shoulder, proudly drove his two steeds with long cars, swearing at one of them full often and full loudly. The first, with sponges laden, fast and fleet, moved well its feet. The second, it was hardly its own fault, bore bags of salt. Over mountain, dale, and weary road, the weary pilgrims bore their load, till to a ford they came one day, they halted there with wondering air. The driver, knowing very well the way, leaped on the ass the sponges load that bore, and drove the other beast before. That ass, in great dismay, fell headlong in a hole, then plashed and scrambled till he felt the lessening salt begin to melt. His shoulders soon had liberty, and from their heavy load were free. His comrade takes example from his brother, as sheep will follow one another. Up to his neck the creature plunges, himself, his rider, and the sponges. All three drank deep. The man, the ass, tippled together many a glass. The load seemed turned to lead. The ass, now all but dead, quite failed to gain the bank. His breath was gone. The driver clung like death, till someone came, no matter who, and aid. Enough, if what I have shown by what I've said, that all can't be alike, you know, and this is what I wished to show. Well, there you have it. The ass laden with sponges and the ass laden with salt. What's this all about? Well, basically, there are two donkeys with big, long, heavy, cars, basically wagons attached to them. And one is carrying sponges and happily clips along. The sponges don't weigh very much. And the other one is dragging a heavy load of salt. And the peasant who owns them is shouting and screaming at this slow ass that's laden down with his heavy load. So they go, and eventually they come to a river. So the man jumps on the ass with the sponges and goads the ass with the salt to cross the river. Well, unfortunately, the ass falls in the river and is about to drown, but then he realizes the salt is melting and his load is getting lighter and lighter and lighter, and he eventually is able to get out. So then as the driver tries to cross with the ass with the sponges, this guy says, "Hey, look how much happier that guy is. I think I'll jump in." And he jumps in, and of course the sponges become saturated with water and become extremely heavy and drag them down. And they can hardly cling to the side. They can't get out, and they almost drown. So what's this telling us? Well, everybody's different, and what one person can do, other people can't copy. You know, beautiful people, for instance, everybody likes beautiful people, and they tend to get a few breaks where not so beautiful people don't. There's also people who have a very likable quality, a charisma that is inexplicable. Just for some reason, people see these people and they instantly like them. And flip side is there are people out there that people see them and instantly don't like them. And this oftentimes has nothing to do with character or values or integrity. It's just some people have a very likable quality and some people have a very unlikable quality. And there are a lot of scoundrels out there who are very likable and they get away with all kinds of stuff because they have this je ne sais quoi likability. And people forgive all kinds of transgressions. And then there are people who are just naturally not very likable and they can cross all their T's and dot all their I's and do things as perfectly as humanly possible. But we're all human, we make mistakes, and whenever one of these people makes a mistake, they get attacked, they get jumped on, and it's not fair. It's just, this is life. Life isn't fair. A lot of people now want all this fairness. Now, sure, everybody should have the opportunity to try anything and achieve anything, but the reality is they're going to have different outcomes. You can't cripple the naturally gifted so that they will have the average outcome of the people who are naturally not gifted. And you can't hold everybody back so the people who are pretty well useless at a particular task so that they all have the same outcome at the end. That doesn't make any sense. That's the equality of outcome model, and it makes no sense. You basically have to move at the slowest pace. And if you've ever been in a classroom and you're good at a particular subject or you're good at school in general and the subject matter is just cripplingly, mind-numbingly boring because you find it very easy, but you have to move at the speed of the average student, or worse, you have to move at the speed of the worst student, it becomes terrible, and then you end up not liking school, and you end up goofing off, or your mind is wandering, or you're doodling on your sheet, or you're chatting among your friends, and you don't try, and you still get the highest marks in the class. This is terrible, because if you're good at school, you should be encouraged, and you should learn to excel, and you should enjoy that. Whereas if you're held back, it's terrible. It's the same as running, where you have to start 10 or 20 feet behind everybody else just so that it's a fair race. Well, that's not a fair race. That's a terrible way to do things. Participation trophies and things like that, or playing soccer and nobody's keeping the score. They're just chasing a ball around. I mean, that's the spirit of soccer is different. You should be able to, do what you excel at. But again, certain people will have certain advantages based on qualities that just aren't fair. Like I said, if they happen to be beautiful, for example, or they just have this likability, and there are other qualities as well. Nepotism, for instance, which comes from the root of nephew, which family favoritism. Your uncle owns a business and hires you on when, as a favor to your father or to you, because you're a blood relative, when he could have a much better employee who's not related. This happens everywhere, and maybe not fair. It should be the best person gets the job, not depending on your gender or sexual orientation or race or religion or anything like that. It should be fair. Best person should get the job, but unfortunately, most people are average and they feel this is unfair, so those who can excel are oftentimes held back, and this is a challenge. So just like these two donkeys, if they both try the same tactic, they're going to get totally different results because there are different tangibles, intangibles, um, and tangibles attached to each donkey. One, of course, is carrying salt, the other is carrying sponges. But it could very well be one is beautiful, one is ugly, one is likable, one isn't, one is high energy, one is low energy, one is naturally enthusiastic, and the other is not so much. Different intangibles. One has the same hobbies and interests as the boss. Well, that could be fine in a business setting, yeah, because being social is part of the job, but that person may not be the best fit for the company. And you get somebody who is a better fit for the company, but has different interests and talents than the boss and doesn't get the job, that sort of thing. Anyway, something to think about. If you have anything else you'd like to add, down below, please. And until next time, bye. Love you.